Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or The Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we're going to be going in-depth into my week number 6 quarterback start or sit decisions. But before we get on into things, I would like to ask that if you guys are new to the channel and you do end up enjoying today's video, that you please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. And as well as while you are down there, please make sure you do leave a like on today's video, whether you are new to the channel or not. It would really help me out a ton. And if you do want to follow me on Twitter, please do so at NotoriousFNTSY. I would also like to ask that if you guys have any questions about week number 6, it doesn't even have to relate to quarterbacks, just any fantasy football questions, please make sure to ask down below in the comment section. I love talking to you guys down there. So without further ado, let's get into my week number 6 quarterback start or sit decisions. We begin with this electrifying Thursday night football matchup between the Washington Commanders at the Chicago Bears. The game total is currently set at 38, so this is definitely going to be an incredibly high-scoring game. Carson Wentz for the Commanders is going to be a start for me, but he's close to the bottom of the barrel at the quarterback position. Carson Wentz did look really good through the first 2 weeks, but it feels like we were hoodwinked because weeks 3 and 4, he wasn't so hot. He bounced back in week number 5. Here up against the Bears defense, since the Bears defense isn't really good, I think he is start worthy, but definitely not one of the optimal starters. Like, I'm sure you're not very excited to start Carson Wentz this week, but there's also a lot worse options than him. Speaking of worse options, Justin Fields of the Chicago Bears. Now, they do appear to want to throw the ball slightly more, but it's still not enough to where I really feel comfortable playing Justin Fields. I could see him finishing inside the top 18 of the starting quarterbacks this week because of his rushing upside, because he could potentially run in a couple touchdowns. But at the end of the day, I don't really want to be starting him. Now we move to the Sunday slate, beginning with the San Francisco 49ers at the Atlanta Falcons. Now, Marcus Mariota has been a pretty reliable fantasy starter all season long for fantasy football. Now, he hasn't necessarily been the best real NFL quarterback, but that does not really matter for fantasy football. His rushing upside is immense, but this week they go up against the San Francisco 49ers, and in my head, I can't really do any mental gymnastics that will tell me that I really want to be firing up Marcus Mariota this week up against that stout Niners defense. Jimmy Garoppolo, Jimmy G-Spot, Jimmy Pornstar, Jimmy Guap, Jimmy Garoppolo will be a start for me this week. The Atlanta Falcons defense is as soft as baby shit. Now, Jimmy Garoppolo is one of the least exciting starting quarterbacks to play in fantasy football, because even though this matchup up against the Atlanta Falcons is incredibly easy, do we really see Jimmy Garoppolo having all that big of a game to where he finishes inside of the top 5 at the quarterback position? For me, I really don't see that happening. And again, that does not mean that I don't want to be starting him this week, but it's just not exciting at all. Even though the Falcons matchup is so easy, Jimmy Garoppolo could probably finish as like quarterback 8 in that game, and that's all fine and dandy. But I just can't really foresee a future. I can't rub the crystal ball and see a future where Jimmy Garoppolo is like quarterback 3 at the end of the week. Next up, we move to the New England Deflatriots at the Cleveland Browns. And here, I'm going to be firing up Jacoby Brissett. But Jacoby Brissett, just like Carson Wentz, are at the bottom of the barrel of the quarterback position. Now, based upon what I saw last year, I honestly thought Jacoby Brissett was fucking dust. I thought Jacoby Brissett wasn't very good at all. He did not look good at all in a Miami Dolphins uniform, but in Cleveland, Jacoby Brissett has looked legitimately good. They have a decent amount of weapons around Jacoby Brissett to where he could succeed. This matchup up against the Patriots is definitely concerning. The Patriots defense completely shut down the Detroit Lions offense last week, but I do not believe that will be the case this week, and I think Jacoby Brissett does enough to get it done for fantasy football. Bailey Zappi has actually looked pretty good in terms of just being an NFL quarterback. Like, I assume, like many people, they didn't really expect much out of Zappi, and he's actually looked pretty decent. And even Bill Belichick today was asked, hey, Bill, or hey, coach, is Mac Jones going to be the starter when he returns? Like, are you going to name Mac Jones as the starter when he makes his return? And Bill Belichick straight up said, no. Now, in reality, do I think there's a quarterback controversy in New England? Most likely not, but it is interesting to hear that. Bailey Zappi will more than likely be starting on Sunday up against the Browns, but he'll be sitting on my bench. Next up, we move to the New York Jumbo Jets at the Green Bay Packers. Currently, Aaron Rodgers is dealing with a bit of an injury, but according to head coach Mike LaFleur, there should be really Matt LaFleur, I just called him Mike LaFleur. Head coach Matt LaFleur says that he's going to be perfectly fine, and this should not affect him going into Sunday's game. Now, Aaron Rodgers this year hasn't really looked like the MVP Aaron Rodgers from the last couple of seasons. He's the back-to-back league MVP. Now, does that mean that I don't think Aaron Rodgers can turn it around and have a really good year? No, I do still think that Aaron Rodgers has that in him, but he just hasn't been very exciting for the NFL or for fantasy football at all. This week, he gets the Jets. Now, I know, but Nick, the Jets just beat the Dolphins' ass. You like the Dolphins. You saw that. That was bad. Yeah, sure. But the Dolphins quarterback was Skylar Thompson. Their whole team was banged up. Now they go up against the Packers, and the Jets are riding super duper high. One of their rookies even said, bro, this team is looking really good. So I am worried that the Jets are at the tippy top, right? They just knocked off division rival Dolphins. They haven't won. I think they were 0-12 in their last 12 division games before the Dolphins game. So they are riding at a maximum high. The Packers just lost to Daniel fucking Jones. So I think that this is a game where the Jets fall into a trap. They're riding so high. The Packers are at an all-time low, and the Packers kick the ever-living shit out of the Jumbo Jets. Now, while Aaron Rodgers doesn't have Devontae Adams anymore, the other wide receivers there are just good enough to keep Aaron Rodgers afloat. I don't really expect a top 5 game out of Rodgers, but I definitely think he could finish somewhere in the range of quarterback 8 through 12. For Zach Wilson, he definitely does look a lot better than I thought he would look, but up against the Packers defense, I think he is best left on the bench. Next up, we move to the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Indianapolis Colts. In this game, I'm going to be firing up Trevor Lawrence. Now, the last 2 weeks for the Jacksonville Jaguars have kind of been a disaster. To start off the season, things were looking really good. Like, the Jaguars were looking like they were turning things around, that Doug Peterson becoming the head coach of the team was going to make this team look different. But last week, we had a prime example of the fact that some teams, deep down, even when they have all of this stuff covering them up, the fact that they have, the new coach, Trevor Lawrence is looking really good. Deep down, the Jaguars are still the Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence has looked good. The Colts defense going into the year, I was incredibly high on, like I assume Snoop Dogg is on a typical Wednesday night. Today is Wednesday. And man, oh man, the Colts defense has been bad. The Jaguars, this is a divisional game between two teams. I think Trevor Lawrence is start-worthy in this game. I really think Christian Kirk and James Robinson are going to step it up this week, so I expect Trevor Lawrence to have a pretty solid performance. For the Indianapolis Colts, Matt Ryan, I know I just used the word complete disaster, or the 2 words complete disaster. Matt Ryan has been an unmitigated fucking disaster. This guy has been a dumpster fire. He has been. This whole team going into the year, you're like, oh wow, they lose Carson Wentz, they get Matt Ryan. And me, I was talking about how, wow, Matt Ryan was screwed by the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons offensive line was a fucking turnstile. They'd give him half a second to throw the ball. If he didn't get the ball out, he was going to get fucking leveled. And now in Indianapolis with this great O-line, he's going to be amazing. And now we're fast forward into week number 6. The offensive line in Indy doesn't look good at all, and Matt Ryan has struggled immensely. Now, I do think eventually maybe Matt Ryan does turn things around, but right now, based upon what we've seen, there's no reason to believe that is coming anytime soon. Next up, we got the Minnesota Vikings at the Miami Dolphins. According to head coach Mike McDaniel of the Miami Dolphins, Teddy Bridgewater will be the second-string quarterback on Sunday. Skylar Thompson will be the starter. Tua returned to practice this week, but he hasn't made enough quote-unquote strides to play, so he's not going to be playing on Sunday. So I think what's honestly going to happen is Teddy Two Gloves can't return because of the concussion protocol until Thursday tomorrow. So he's going to return. He's going to be the backup, the quote-unquote backup. And if Skylar Thompson struggles, I think they pull him for Teddy Two Gloves. Thus, even if Skylar Thompson was amazing, which I don't really think he is, you can't really start him because even if there is a slight inkling of him playing bad, I think his leash isn't very long, and I think Mike McDaniel will pull him from the game. Mr. You like that? Kirk Cousins going up against the Dolphins defense. Now, last week, the Dolphins defense got just absolutely, they got a train ran on them by the Jets. It was absolutely unreal. They got sliced and diced. Wasn't even close. The Dolphins defense got destroyed. Kirk Cousins should be able to do something similar if the Dolphins defense is banged up. For instance, if Byron Jones returns, if Xavier Howard returns, then I think Kirk Cousins is going to have a much harder time throwing the ball. Now, even if they both return based upon the pressure that the Dolphins have been getting, they haven't been able to get a lot of pressure. I still think Kirk Cousins has a decent game. Right now, I'd have him ranked closer to like quarterback 10. But again, it really hinges on the injury report for the Dolphins. If those guys are out, then it's going to be really hard to bench Kirk Cousins this week. And even if they are in, I am still starting Mr. You like that? Kirk Cousins. Next up, we got the Cincinnati Bengals at the New Orleans Saints. Right now, it really does seem like Andy Dalton is going to be the starting quarterback for the New Orleans Saints, with Taysom Hill obviously mixing in. Taysom Hill, again, this guy has just been playing amazing. I don't know what happened. I don't know what's in this guy's fucking Wheaties that he eats in the morning, because this guy is not even a human. It's been unreal how good Taysom Hill has been this season. And Jameis Winston's health is really up in the air. This team has been playing really well with Andy Dalton, so I don't think they want to just go ahead and rush Jameis back and have Jameis at like half-mast here. They don't want to half Chubb here. They want the full Chubb, so they're probably going to play cautious with Jameis Winston because this team looks like they could potentially have playoff hopes, so I wouldn't think they'd want to roll Jameis out there to have him get hurt again, so I do believe the Red Rifle Andy Dalton will play. Dalton's looked decent, but he's looked good. Actually, he's looked better than decent, right? He's looked pretty good, but he's not good enough for fantasy because there's always the looming Taysom Hill fucking right behind him, just massaging his shoulders creepily from the back. That's what fucking Taysom Hill does to Andy Dalton, and then he'll get thrown into the game, and so I just can't really trust Andy Dalton. Joe Burrow of the Cincinnati Bengals is going to be a start. You start him every single week. He sliced up the Dolphins defense. He looked all right up against the Ravens. I really thought he would have a better performance, but that was a primetime game, and we all know that the primetime games this year have been awful, so no surprise that that game wasn't the best. It was interesting, but it wasn't high scoring. Like, I think if you take that Ravens versus Bengals game, take it from 8:15 p.m. or whenever the hell they play on Sunday Night Football, and throw it to 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, then both teams score like 30-plus points. But, you know, it was a night game. Joe Burrow, though, definitely a start-worthy quarterback. Definitely kind of up in the air on Mr. T. Higgins, Titty Boy T. Higgins. He may play, he may not play. It doesn't really affect my opinion on Joe Burrow, but I definitely would like, if I had Burrow starting in my lineup, which you're going to have to do anyways, more than likely, I would prefer if T. Higgins was healthy. Next up, we move to the Baltimore Ravens at the New York Football Giants. But before we go in depth into this team from the quarterback position, I would like to give you guys a quick word from our friends, our sponsor. They've been on your screen this whole entire video. Underdog Fantasy. Are your best ball teams already cooked? Well, head on over to Underdog Fantasy to resurrect them with their Week 6 through Week 17 best ball tournament. The entry fee is only $10 with $500,000 in total prizes and $100,000 going to first place. All you got to do on Underdog is draft your team, and that's it. You don't have to worry about the waiver wire, because there's no waiver wire. You don't have to worry about calling up your buddies, trying to make some trades. They don't answer the phone. They're too busy doing some shit, right? They got a life. They don't just care about fantasy football. What a bunch of fucking losers. And you don't even have to worry about making the wrong lineup decisions. Like, say you start Daniel Jones this week. You're kind of with me. You're feeling like he's doing good. And then, for instance, he ends up shitting the bed, and you should have had Andy Dalton in your lineup, even though I didn't like him as much. Then you don't have to worry about that, because at the end of the week, Underdog will automatically put your best roster in. So the best players go in your lineup, and even those stars, those guys like Jamar Chase, sometimes they have dud games. And guess what? You don't have to play them during their dud games, so make sure you guys do check that out. Now, the contest locks, the Best Ball Resurrection contest locks tomorrow night before Thursday Night Football, so make sure you check it out. There also looks like there might be some overlay. Now, I'm not saying it's guaranteed to overlay, but it's only about 60% filled right now as I'm recording this. And it's always great to get some overlay. And if you use promo code Stokastic, Stokastic, you'll get a first match deposit bonus of up to $100. So you deposit $100, they will give you an additional $100, which is 10 free entries into that Best Ball Resurrection tournament. So make sure you guys do check that out. Back on into things here. Lamar Jackson versus Danny Dimes. Lamar Jackson is an insta start every single week. The guy looks like he might be the MVP of the fucking NFL at the end of the year. So you definitely don't want to be benching him. Danny Dimes, Danny Fumbles, Danny Stumbles has looked a lot better under Brian Daboll when compared to Joe Judge. I love the nickname that Barstool has given not Daniel Jones, that they've given to Brian Daboll. They call him Brian Dayballs because the dude has a massive set of huevos on him. I love Brian Daboll. The guy's been fucking amazing, and there's a lot of people that, look, I live around a lot of Giants fans. I live in New Jersey. I'm a Dolphins fan because my dad is a Jets fan, and when I was a child, I decided that I wanted to root for a team that plays against my dad all the time, so I chose the Dolphins. There's the story, but there's a lot of Giants fans that live around me as I live in New Jersey, and there's a lot of people, not these people, because they love the Giants, but there's a lot of people trying to say that, oh, this is the Mickey Mouse Giants. They have so many wins. They're not really that good. Well, guess what? Even if the roster isn't very good, Brian Daboll is eking out. He is like, when you grab a towel and you go like this and you're fucking twisting it around like you're giving it an Indian burn, and then all the water comes out, right? Daboll's getting all the water, all the juice out of this team that they possibly have. I don't really think Daniel Jones is all that good of a quarterback. I understand that their wide receivers are decimated right now, but I do think Daniel Jones can get it done because of just how bad the Ravens secondary is. Again, I'm not betting my life that Daniel Jones is a top 5 quarterback. He's probably going to finish as like quarterback 18, but QB 18 is considered start worthy in my mind. And that is the exact spot, QB 18, where you're cut off from being a start to a sit. So QB 19 would be a sit. Next up, we move to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Pittsburgh Steelers. And we just watched the skull fucking of the century on Sunday by the Buffalo Bills up against the Steelers. The Steelers were trying to call uncle. They were trying to call mercy. But, they threw the towel in, and fucking Josh Allen just kept beating the shit out of them. Like, if it was a boxing fight, Tomlin throws in the towel, and Josh Allen lays a haymaker blow to knock the guy's tooth out, and he's fucking in next year, right? He's knocked out that bad. That's what happened. Now we get Tom Brady, and the whole crew's back together, baby. Mike Evans is back. Chris Godwin is back. Julio Jones isn't back, Nick. Well, Julio Jones is kind of back. Russell Gage is back. Cole Beasley left. He said he wanted to be with his family, which I thought was funny because Tom Brady's losing his family, but it is what it is. No more divorce jokes. I made the divorce game narrative last week, like the Jordan flu game. He played well. This week, I think he still plays good up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Again, this Steelers defense is shot without TJ Watt, and I think Tom Brady does them dirty here. Kenny Pickett does look somewhat promising. The guy with small hands does look pretty decent. I don't really expect anything big out of him in this game. The Bills defense was tough last week. The Bucs defense is going to be just as tough, maybe even tougher. So I don't really expect Kenny Pickett to do much, but he did get into a fight last week with the Bills defense. So at least he's got that dog inside of him. Next up, we got the Carolina Panthers at the LA Rams. And if there was ever a game for Matthew Stafford to fucking step up, nut up, and not look awful, it would be up against the Panthers. For weeks, Matthew Stafford has been Cleveland steamering. He has been taking a shit on your chest if you play him. But if there was ever a game where this Rams team started firing at all cylinders like the Buccaneers fire the cannon when they score a touchdown, then it would be this week up against the Panthers. The Panthers just fired their head coach. Their defense isn't that bad. I think they're going to go on a fire sale and start selling off a bunch of pieces, going into full rebuild mode. Matthew Stafford should have no issue in this game. If there was ever a last ride for Matthew Stafford, it would be this week up against the Panthers, because in matchups where it's not super positive, where I don't love the matchup, it's pretty hard to start Matthew Stafford at this point. PJ Walker is a big step up for DJ Moore, according to the splits, the stats with Baker Mayfield versus PJ Walker. Look a lot better for DJ Moore to get peppered with targets in this game, but PJ Walker is not a start-worthy quarterback in a one-quarterback league. Next up, we got the Arizona Cardinals at the Seattle Seahawks, and somehow baseball takes precedence over the NFL. I don't know if you guys saw this. This just came out about an hour or two ago as I'm recording this video, but apparently if the Seattle Mariners don't get swept by, I think, the Houston Astros, those cheating bastards, then game 3 or game 4 will be on Sunday. And that means that they're going to push the Cardinals-Seahawks game to 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time instead of 4:15 or 5:30. Who fucking cares about baseball? That makes no sense. That makes no sense. How is the NFL getting cucked by the MLB? Now, I know some people care about baseball, right? It's more of a joke, but what the hell, man? Like, I know, the Seahawks fans want to watch the Mariners. Have you ever seen a Mariners game? There's, like, no one there. So, Kyler Murray and Geno, even if this game's played at 5, they're both start-worthy quarterbacks. I don't understand why Kyler Murray dressed up like fucking Hillary Clinton last week. If you guys didn't see his fit, look it up. Look up Kyler Murray pregame fit, week 5. The dude has this green outfit on. It looks like he's about to go to a fucking Harry Styles concert. He looks like he's about to go slay there. Just incredibly, like, bad look to lose wearing that fit. Like, if you wear that outfit, you're going to sling like 5 fucking touchdowns, right? But instead, Kyler Murray in his booster seat in the pocket did not really look all that effective in this game, or in that game. The Seahawks defense isn't very good, so I expect a bounce back out of Kyler Murray. But if this Cardinals team doesn't start ramping up soon, I know D-Hop, his return is coming right around the corner, but, like, is Cliff Kingsbury on the hot seat? COD's also coming out soon. Cardinals fans need to be nervous. Geno Smith. Man, oh man, I don't think I've ever been more wrong about a player than I have been about Geno Smith. I talked so bad about Geno because I didn't think he was very good. Like, we saw him last year, and there's points where he looked good, but in reality, he wasn't all that good. But I guess the full offseason of kind of training to be the QB1, this guy has just flipped a fucking switch completely. I don't know how to even describe it. The guy was throwing, he made a throw to Tyler Lockett that legitimately my eyes were ejaculating when I was watching this. He threw the ball, put it directly into Lockett's breadbasket. The thing flew through the air like it was like some beautiful painting. It was unreal. I was like, I can't believe Geno just threw that. It looked like Russell Wilson before Russell Wilson went to the Broncos and sucked dick at playing quarterback. So Geno Smith has been unreal this year, and I'm going to continue to ride the Geno Smith train until the wheels fall off. Next up, we got the no one circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills at the Kansas City Chiefs. And I know, guys, shocker, we're going to be starting Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. This game is just the game of the year. This is the game that I've been waiting for. Now, as a Dolphins fan, I know I'm supposed to hate the Buffalo Bills, and I do hate the Bills when we play them, but man, oh man, are the Bills such a fucking exciting team to watch. The Chiefs, super exciting as well. The Chiefs are so good that they made Davante Adams so mad that he pushed the guy who was trying to take a picture of him. Very rude, Davante Adams. And someone on Twitter said that I look like the guy who got pushed, the cameraman, and honestly, I could kind of see it. So if you want to see that picture of the guy getting pushed, the photographer, the photographer, that I think kind of looks like me, follow me on Twitter at NotoriousFNTSY, and make sure while you're down there, you hit that like button, you hit that subscribe button as well. It helps me out a ton. So again, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, they're no-brainer starters. This game has all the making to be a tit-for-tat, high-scoring, air raid attack game. Travis Kelce scored 4 fucking touchdowns last week on like 35 yards. Unreal. Josh Allen and Mahomes are starters. We're not just going to sit here and talk about this game and blow both these guys. Gawk 9,000 on both these guys. We know how great they are. Next up, we got Sunday Night Football. The Dallas Cowboys at the Philadelphia Eagles. In this one, shocker, we're going to be starting up Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is another one of those guys that's in the MVP race. To me, there's 4 quarterbacks in the MVP race right now. That is going to be Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and Cooper Rush. I'm only kidding. And Josh Allen. All four of those guys have looked insane in the membrane. If my boy Tua didn't get hurt, he would also be in the MVP race as well. But right now, all those guys are playing out of this world. The Dallas Cowboys do have good defense. This is an in-division game. This is also a primetime game. So this game has all the makings of being a potential disaster, low-scoring game, but I still think you have to roll out Jalen Hurts. The guy has just been insane. Cooper Rush has been a all-right NFL quarterback, but what he does on the field doesn't necessarily correlate to a big fantasy football performance. So he's a sit. And plus, they're playing the Eagles defense, which is incredibly good, might be the best defense in the NFL. We close with Monday Night Football with everyone's favorite primetime team, because we've seen them a million times already. I think this is game 4 of primetime for the Denver Broncos at the Los Angeles Superchargers. Broncos country, let's die. Quarterback Russell Wilson. What can we even say? What can we say good about Russell Wilson? He's had 2 games where he looked decent against Seattle and against the Las Vegas Raiders. But besides that, hasn't been good at all. The Chargers defense hasn't been the best. So, like, if there was ever a game for Wilson to step up, it would be this division game. But, oh, that sounded fucking disgusting. Whatever. I hope you guys couldn't have heard that. That was my stomach making a weird-ass noise. But that's just the feeling my body gives off when it reads Denver Broncos in primetime game. Russell Wilson, I think, could have a good game here. He's banged up. I'm a little worried, but I'm still going to have to start him because there's a bunch of teams on bye, and all the other names are so gross. But again, do I really want to be starting Russell Wilson? Probably not. Justin Herbert, the pervert. The Broncos defense has legitimately been good. I'll give them the credit they deserve. But when you have an offense like the LA Chargers, even great defenses, potentially like the Broncos might be, look bad. So regardless of how good the Broncos defense is, I'm still firing up Mr. Justin Herbert, the pervert. So thank you guys all so much for watching today's video. If you did end up enjoying, please make sure that you do hit that subscribe button down below, as well as hitting that like button. It would help me out a ton. If you do want to follow me on Twitter, please do so at NotoriousFNTSY. And if you have any questions about week number 6, please make sure to ask down below in the comment section. I love to talk to you guys down there. So without further ado, let's hit that outro, as if that even makes sense. I love you guys all so much. Hope you have a great rest of your guys' day. And as always, good boy.